Start now.
Light blue here, but yep. I got pretty much just ultramarine blue, just for the water. And I'll bring in different whites here later when I want to make things even brighter, but I'm just getting some color down. Get some of that in there. Just a little bit into the sky, first a little bit. And now that when you get into a point like this, you know, I can work out some of the contrast a little bit more in areas. I can start building up the trees, the hues a little bit better, but I'm getting the canvas covered up is a key thing.
So the shadows are ultramarine?
Yeah, depending how lucky you get, like mine, they got a little darker, a little lighter compared to everything else. So I'm gonna be adding some darker in here. Before I do that, I'm just gonna add a little bit of white right in here, just to lighten this up a little bit more. Just working out the contrast right here. Everything else, the little details can be refined later. Little reflections on the water, those will all be done on that final Thursday one. Those are all just those little finite techniques that you can do. So I can go in there and I can start adding some more dark to the background, and so it doesn't look so blown away.
Which brush are you using to start?
I just been using this one because I have it. This number 6. It's not a bad size one, and it could do a lot of my work here for me. So I'm going to just bring in some of the dark in here. I might just add a little bit of the blue in here as well. Just because it's a little deeper and it's cold. And I'm just working out the shadows you'd imagine that would be on the bottom of a tree. And as the tree gets higher up, it's going to have warmer lights. But right at the base, this will come off a lot more believable. And it'll make it easier by when I get to make the tree that's in the foreground darker, because I'll know just how dark to make it because I got the background to where I want it. So that's going to be my reasoning for what I'm doing here. I want to get this looking a little closer to where I want it before I do anything in the foreground. I'm going to add a little bit of that blue now. That's was in the shadows reflecting into the water. I could take little advantages of bringing in some of the background into the areas of the tree when I'm doing that. Ordinarily, my canvas wouldn't be moving around, but not having the chuck on it, so we don't have any shadows so we can film this. So it's like I feel like I'm dealing with a typewriter. Okay, I'm gonna add in some of the warm purple. See if I can get it. Just start working on the contrast of the trees. I'll be bringing in that sap green in here too, a little bit, but I'm just gonna work the contrast a little bit more. And the nice thing is I have those greens and everything, unlike acrylic, which the colors already would have been dry. With oil, those greens are still wet, so when I collide purples or anything into it, now those are blending. And that's one advantage that oils is gonna have. I can work the whole composition up. Acrylic, you just have to work that one area really quick because it's gonna dry within moments. So this does make it very convenient. So I got something here in the background, but I'm going to jump to the foreground and start working this up and making it a little darker. I always have a lot of napkins near me. A garbage can, ideally. I would have a garbage can for every person if it was possible. One of the things I'm going to do, because it's not going to hurt, I have a little bit of this Windsor Yellow Deep, which is very kind of orangey, really. And there is just little hints of areas in the middle that I see. And it's not into too many places. But I'm going to get some of that color in now before I do any kind of real blending, because I want that to be caught in there. It also works out really good if you have some lighter greens and you really want to make sure those are the areas that have the most light. I can just blend it into that green and it helps give me a little more form. When I'm going to be adding some of these other areas on, I am going to be feathering the edges a little bit, getting into my first little bit of modeling of all this. And you're going to see when I start doing some of the darker greens, I'm going to give more a kind of a flick to the brush to mimic maybe leaves and how things in nature really look. So I'm going to start kind of sculpting out a little bit what these trees are going to really look like. Just adding a little bit of the blue and purple just to some areas, because underneath all this atmosphere, the areas that on top of the tree would be reflected, it would have some of these colors shining onto it. But it helps me bring some of this stuff forward. White in that. I want things to stand out just ever so a little more. And I'm thinking I'm going to take a chance and start doing some of that chrome green in here. And I'm pretty good, I'm assuming I'm going to be adding into my Impressionist black here, which is just really a mixture of the red and the green, the red and the blue. And I have some already mixed up, so I'm just going to dip into that. But I'm going to go on the outer edge, a little more, thick with that color now, because I want to bring out some of the ends of the trees that are still in the shadows, but are now going into the sky. Everything is nice and it would be very easy to blend into one another. Now, these other little strokes, I'm going to be taking a brush that has no paint on it at all and feathering little details. And that way I don't have to worry about adding more paint, and I can get these ends just to blend ever so into the sky. It'll look a lot more realistic. So even before I'm adding that impressionist black in here, I'm getting this mid-tone here color, and it's going to help stand out against the background. And I'd say we got about another 5-10 minutes before I'm set, and we'll have something, a good view of what a foundation painting would look like. It just all depends on how much time you have. You know, like the impressionist, you might be able to finish the whole thing in one shot, but we only have 3 hours. But what saves a lot of money is if you get your colors where they're at. That's why sometimes you can look at an abstract work and it still looks kind of realistic because everything's in the right place. And then, depending on how refined you want everything to be, you can go ahead and mess around with it afterwards. I can go ahead and it's easier for me to put the darks in after for the trees because I can imagine, here's my shadows. I'm leaving the areas in the front to where those parts of the tree are coming forward. And I'm going to go ahead and grab some of my so-called black here. This is just that mixture of blue, ultramarine blue, and cad red. And the impressionists would do this a lot. Or if they want to warm it up a little bit, they might add a little of the cadmium green in it. Even though it's a cool green, it's still, compared to the other colors, it's still going to be looking kind of warm. So I'm just getting that in here. I got another brush that I can bring in here, and I'm going to feather the last of the details. So I'm not going to be worried about blending that in when I have my brush all charged up with this color. Just getting where those shadows would be. So this looks pretty good for the paint part. And now I'm going to show you how I'm going to blend the edges a little bit. So if you want to stop right